On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there is having themselves a great day. Seems like our Constitution is being attacked right now. We've got it kind of coming from a lot of directions. And there's a lot of information that's coming out. Q has a couple posts. I want to talk about an executive order that was made that will hugely impact the way things play out kind of going forward, or at least once this thing is put into motion, which should be soon. We got a politician that is just slamming an MSDNC reporter or personality. It's a very cool little interview there. How to interrupt someone on the left. Got a cool little lesson on how you can interrupt someone. If you got any friends or family that are on the left and you want to figure out how to interrupt them in the middle of talking, I've got that dialed in for you. I've got an amazing video. It's about 2.5 minutes long, but it is way worth it, on mail-in voting and a neat little experiment that was done by a news agency. I'm not sure what city. We could probably find that out, but I think it's Philadelphia or something like that. But the way it played out and what they found out and then how that even played out, it is amazing. It's a must stick around. And then on top of that, we got our Q post. So we got a lot of good stuff going on. Let's jump right to it. Now, right off the bat, like I said, we've got an executive order that was put out recently. And they're talking about that Section 230 for the Information Act, right? The way that they're allowed to basically have immunity when they censor the way they are. And so on Monday, the Department of Commerce, as directed by President Donald J. Trump's executive order on preventing online censorship, filed a petition to clarify the scope of Section 230 of the 1996 Communications Decency Act. The petition requests that the Federal Communications Commission clarify that Section 230 does not permit social media companies that alter or editorialize users' speech to escape civil liability. The petition also requests that the FCC clarify when an online platform curates content in good faith and requests transparency requirements on their moderation practices, similar to requirements imposed on broadband service provider under Title I of the Communications Act. President Trump will continue to fight against unfair, un-American, and politically biased censorship of Americans online. Now, what that essentially means, and I agree with this 100%, is either A, you're not allowed to censor people like you are, and you just get post what they say, and then you're free from sin, or if you are going to censor people's stuff, it needs to be clearly spelled out why. You can't just have this weird fuzzy, like, well, you broke a community guideline, and then not really show what it was, or specifically cite the thing that you did, or allow you to change and learn so you don't do it again, maybe, if it's literally crossing a line. There's the concept. I mean, when I got my FCC license back in the day, back when you actually had to get an FCC license, and it changed, and then it was the facility licensed and not the person as much, but there was a lot of things that you are not allowed to do. And War of the Worlds, I don't know if you guys heard about that story back in the 20s or whenever the hell it was, but a guy got on the radio and started talking about, like, there was a Martian invasion, and that aliens were landing in the streets and literally caused a panic. So there's things you can't do. But you've got to spell out what are those things you can't do. You can't scream fire in a movie theater, crowded movie theater? Awesome. Tell me that, I won't do it, we're good to go. But this fuzziness, no. And so they're going after it, and that's pretty awesome. So that's, I don't know, it's a step in the right direction in my opinion. Now, this is fun. I got a couple little pieces here that are worth the time for you. So we've got this, don't insult me when I'm getting paid. That's disgraceful, right? This whole thing. So Rep. Vernon Jones destroys this Craig Melvin guy on MSDNC. Let's take a listen to how this goes.
Are you a paid campaign surrogate? Are you being compensated?
Let me be clear. You get paid to shape a liberal narrative. You get paid to attack this president. I don't get a dime for this president. I don't get a dime from the campaign. Everything I've done has been me and based on my principles. And see, that's the problem. When an African American that's elected,
I did not raise your
Let me finish now. Let me finish.
Whoa. You're not going to imply that I asked that question because you're black.
So don't ask me that. You only ask me that because I don't fit your narrative. No, this president never offered anything. I don't want anything from this president. It's what I can do for my country. And you need to accept that many other African Americans and others support this president because of his policies. And to insult me to say, am I getting paid?
I've asked the same question. I've asked the same question of Democrats who come on.
And their narrative to keep blacks silent who happen to support this president. Why can't I be like white liberals or other whites? Nobody questioned they're getting paid.
State
so I have to get paid. Do you ask Democrats? Do they get paid?
I just said if you
paid by Joe Biden.
I just said to you.
Have you ever asked any host on your show that they've been paid by Joe Biden?
State Representative Vernon Jones. Representative Jones, thank you.
Just literally just cuts him. It's like, well, we're done talking, obviously. And that's good, man. The guy wouldn't stop. And, you know, I don't know if you guys have caught on to that. That's apparently how conversations go nowadays. You just talk over somebody. And so this is where we would get our little lesson of the day. And I think it's a fantastic lesson, by the way. Some good news, maybe we could even call it. But when you have one of those moments in life where maybe someone on the left is talking about how horrible Trump is, this and that, all this, how all the rioting's great and it's not really rioting, that's made up myth and all that. When they're saying all that stuff and you want to interrupt them, I've found the perfect way to do it. And we've got a perfect little example right here of how to properly do that when it comes to interrupting anybody on the left.
And I'm reclaiming my time, Mr. General.
My time is limited. I have the time.
So what
reclaiming my time.
Yeah, I'm answering your question.
Well, you gotta let him answer.
Reclaiming my time. Reclaiming my time, sir. Reclaiming my time, and I know you don't want to answer.
I'm not saying that.
I reclaim my time.
Reclaiming my time.
Reclaiming my time, Mr. Attorney General. Reclaiming my time.
Reclaiming my time. Reclaiming my time, Mr. Attorney. Reclaiming my time. Reclaiming my time, Mr. Barr.
Okay, reclaiming my time. Excuse me, the time is fine.
I'm starting to lose my temper. Excuse me, Mr. Barr, this is my time, and I control it.
Reclaim my time, sir.
I think in another one I voted by
reclaiming my
mail.
time. Okay, reclaiming my time.
Publication.
Reclaiming my time, sir.
I will get to that. Reclaiming my time. You answered the question. Mr. Attorney General, reclaiming my time. Reclaiming my time.
We've waited a long time for you to come here. The time is mine. The time is mine.
Substances.
Attorney General, reclaiming my time.
Reclaiming my time, sir.
Without a rule, I think DHS.
Reclaiming my time. I'm surprised at your lack of respect.
Can you believe that she follows up with that? The way they disrespected this man. It's okay to disrespect somebody you disagree with. But if they disagree with you, they're evil and wicked. So anyway, claiming my time. I'm allowed to move on to this next step. So mail-in voting is, well, had just gotten a major fire thrown under it. There's a lot going on with the whole mail-in voting. What started all of this was the universal mail-in voting, not absentee voting, which is good. So one thing, if you need to vote by mail, if you need to vote absentee, there is a process that's available. There's a couple hurdles you got to go through, but it's not impossible. And a lot of these people, I think, that are complaining about being worried about going into a center or whatever, or elderly or whatever, could do absentee ballot voting. But Trump continues, 2020 will be the most inaccurate and fraudulent election in history. It will be a great embarrassment to the USA. Delay the election until people can properly, securely, and safely vote. And he says it with question marks, 3 of them, in fact, which is probably significant to a degree, kind of like, hey, I'm asking, what do you guys think? Now, obviously, this set off a freak storm with people. They decided that Trump's going to hold back the election. I mean, they're already talking about if someone else wins the election, that Trump's going to stay in office. So they're already doing all this prep work. Why? Because they know they're going to lose. They know they're going to lose. There's no chance they're going to win because of how badly they've been cheating in the past and how much people disagree with the direction that they're going. Now, do they have a loud voice and a booming megaphone? Yeah, absolutely. But are most of the silent masses really getting tired of it? Yeah, absolutely. So Trump also continues, mail-in voting is already proving to be a catastrophic disaster. Even testing areas are way off. The Dems talk of foreign influence in voting, but they know that mail-in voting is an easy way for foreign countries to enter the race. Even beyond that, there's no accurate count. This is a problem because a lot of people are like, well, that's not true. First off, I've heard a couple different things. One, that it's not true that mail-in voting can be taken advantage of. We're going to have a neat little video to watch here in a second that's going to disagree with that. 2, some of the people that are starting to wake up, or at least looking at this with a little bit more critical thinking, will understand the fact that, well, geez, both sides could take advantage of it. And that's what some of the articles or some of the literature suggests, is that both sides could take advantage of it. Now, in my opinion, if either side or both sides can take advantage of it, it's a bad idea. It can be taken advantage of. If it can be taken advantage of, it's bad. Period. Period. We got to come up with a better way. Obviously, mail-in voting can be taken advantage of, and we'll come to find can actually be fraudulently taken advantage of. There's a great video. Now, a lot of you guys know my stance on playing YouTube videos. This particular WRDW, Channel 12, was on YouTube. And so, but when you go to apparently Sean Hannity's Facebook page, he happens to have the video. And this video is not, it doesn't look like anyway, being played from Facebook or from YouTube, which means I can get away with it on YouTube. Thank you, America. So I very much want you guys to see this incredible video. It's about, like I said, 3 minutes long. It is extremely worth your 3 minutes. If you're remotely curious about how voting by mail can be taken advantage of, these guys did an awesome experiment, and it's pretty cool. I mean, is this like factual, scientific, done in all sorts of cities? No, it's one area, but just watch the way this plays out.
If you know how to mail a letter, you already know how to mail in your vote.
How you doing? Thank you very much.
But how long might it take for that vote to actually arrive and be counted?
Oh, you're welcome. Have a good afternoon.
We decided to test it, sending 100 mock ballots simulating 100 voters from locations all across Philadelphia to a P.O. box we set up to represent a local election office. A couple days later, we mailed 100 more, using the same size envelopes and the same class of mail as real ballots here. To approximate the weight, we even folded mock votes into every one. In the following week, we checked our P.O. box for the results.
Mail pickup notice, there's more.
When we went to collect everything, though,
Nothing? No.
most of our votes seemed to be lost.
That's all I have back there right now. That's
You're short, huh? You're totally short. I believe you.
All right, good. Have a good day.
Okay, take care.
We had to ask for a manager
I'm trying to do something about mail-in ballots.
and explain ourselves before someone finally found our votes.
They have them somewhere else.
Okay, thank you.
1, 2. We soon discovered another problem: missorted mail. 2 pieces of it.
We got a birthday card from Mike to Ronnie. Have a sweet B-day. Get it? There's a B on top.
When the birthday greetings ended,
12, 13.
we found a bigger issue. 21% of our votes hadn't materialized after 4 days. And the batch we'd mailed a week prior, some of those were missing too.
So of our 100 ballots, 97 arrived, which sounds pretty good, unless you consider the fact that that means 3 people who tried to vote by mail in our mock election were in fact disenfranchised by mail.
In a close election, 3% could be pivotal, especially in what's expected to be a record year for mail-in voting.
We're going to see somewhere between probably 80 and 100 million voters receiving their ballot that way.
The Postal Service says voters should mail their return ballots at least 1 week prior to the due date. But nearly half of all states still allow voters to request ballots less than a week before the election. So you can forgive the public for being a tad confused.
How long do you think the post office recommends?
About 3 days, 2 to 3 days.
They're saying at least a week.
A week?
They're saying at least a week for your vote.
I just don't trust the mail. That's true.
You don't trust the mail either?
Well, I just don't. I would like to give, especially during COVID, give them ample time to deliver it.
I don't trust it.
Why not?
I don't know. I'm scared that it might get lost in the mail. I just want to make sure that my vote is submitted. Like, I see that it's submitted, that it actually counts.
Tony DeCopel, CBS News, New York.
Pretty awesome little thing that they shared with us. Wasn't that amazing? So yeah, there's a lot of ways that these things can happen. And you know what? Postal people are, humans too, and they have opinions. And some of them might be on the right, and some of them might be on the left. Some of them might accidentally affect things. There's thousands of postal workers across the country. And you know what? Almost 100% of them do a bang-up job. I'd say just like cops and a lot of other people. On almost 100%. But you've got some bad apples. And those bad apples can cause problems and can cause significant problems. And certainly bad apples that are even bought, paid for, bribed, which can also very easily happen. So again, these are some of the fun little things that we've got going on in our wonderful world. Now, something that's kind of interesting, I think, anyways. Jim Jordan was talking to the Google CEO? And had a neat little discussion with him where he asked him a very specific question twice. That was basically one of those yes or no questions. We saw it happen at bar all the time, and no one ever necessarily wants to give yes or no questions. It's a lawyer tactic. I'm going to be totally honest with you. And you try to create this sort of sentence or narrative, and then you get them to agree to it, and that means they're agreeing to all the stuff you just said. And if you sneak in a few weird things that aren't necessarily positive or not necessarily true or not necessarily what they support, it's kind of like how laws work, frankly, then you can actually get some stuff passed people or get them to admit to things that they probably wouldn't normally in good conscience admit. So is that some of this? Oh, for sure. But it is interesting that he never does exactly answer the question.
Is Google going to tailor its features to help Joe Biden in the 2020 election?
Congressman, we approach our work, we support both campaigns today. We think political ads is an important part of free speech in democratic societies, and we engage with campaigns, according to law, and we approach our work in a nonpartisan way.
It was a yes or no question. Can you assure Americans today you won't tailor your features to help Joe Biden in the upcoming election?
We support work that campaigns do. I just want to make sure I
understand that. We all do all kinds of online, social media, all kinds of that kind of that outreach, that communication. This is a simple question. Can you today assure Americans you will not tailor your features in any way to specifically help one candidate over other? And this what I'm concerned about is you helping Joe Biden over President Trump.
We won't do any work, to politically tilt anything one way or the other. It's against our core values.
That's as close to an answer as we're going to get. Kind of said, no, we're not going to, but wow, that was like trying to herd cats or trying to pull teeth or, I don't know, fill in things there. So we got 2 Q posts, and they're not too terribly exciting, I'll be honest with you. But they are interesting. All right. And again, it's part of this evolution. There has been sort of a silence for a little while for a lot of reasons. One, it's sort of backed down, I think, a little bit of the attack on the Q movement. So when the next big release happens, it's going to catch people kind of off guard. 2, it made me think the other day of they keep having that Tron reference, right? Of having that one point, that one gate of all the information. And when you think about that video that came out the other day of the doctors that were coming out and talking about HCQ and how it's okay or whatever. I'm not trying to go down that road. We'll see. It might get me in trouble still. But when you see that happen and you see all the outrage, it took 17 million views before they finally did something about that video. 17 million views. 17 million people saw that. Many of them were able to copy it because some people are very sharp and savvy when they get onto something quick because they know it's going to disappear. 17 million people saw that before they finally figured out, oh no, we got to block this. So their blocking method, kind of like they've been talking about in Tron, this single point, this one entity where someone's got to go, oh, block it, bloop, and they hit the button. Because of that, a lot of views can happen in a very short period of time that are going to get through the radar. It's inevitable, and they cannot stop it in all sources. So it's something to consider. That being said, got a couple awesome quotes shared with us from an older post, 3580. Got Thomas Jefferson saying, I prefer dangerous freedom over peaceful slavery. Something to kind of ponder. Woodrow Wilson blessed us with this one. What we seek is the reign of law, based upon the consent of the governed and sustained by the organized opinion of mankind. And Thomas Jefferson, once again, educate and inform the whole mass of people. They are the only sure reliance for the preservation of our liberty. To preserve our liberty. That's probably easier to say that word. That's for sure. Thank you, Thomas Jefferson. Thank you, TJ. That being said, these are things to keep in mind. This is what they're trying to take from you. They've always talked about, I think it was maybe Reagan that said it. I don't know if I'm giving the wrong person credit, and I apologize if I do. But freedom is always one generation away from being lost. And we've got a large amount of this current generation that's coming up that has been kind of taught improperly through school, our little communistic centers that we call school and education. By the way, have you seen what's going on with the teachers union? In California, they said that they had to support defund the cops before the teachers will even go back to teach in the classrooms. I'm not joking. That was the union here in California. The teachers union, which is probably the second most powerful union in this state. I think the prison guards union is more powerful. So I should tell you a few things about this state. That being said, also big deal going on there. So keep these things in mind. People are waking up for sure, and that's why this has to play out the way it is. That's why this has to get so ridiculous for a lot of us that are already like seeing what's going on. It's got to get so ridiculous that even the people on the left can look in the mirror and go, I'm actually okay with people burning down cities and saying, oh, it's just a protest. It's like, how many buildings am I willing to watch burn before I actually say, yeah, maybe these people are not doing a good thing? So again, some of this has to play out. 4618, second post we get today. Do not mistake silence for an action. And I do, again, agree that this is a very important point to make. Silence doesn't mean nothing's happening. This Constitution, we the people, when I started with that picture, which we've kind of got down here, we the people are the government. You, me, we're the government. We are the government. And if it's not going to be us that put our foot down, if it's not going to be us that decides something's got to change, if it's not going to be us, then who's it going to be? Them the people or we the people? Are you a part of the change, or are you a part of letting somebody take away, which I think is a beautiful country, and I think probably one of the best examples that exists out there, and certainly doesn't need to be burned down. Yeah, we need to tweak it. Little duct tape, little baling wire, we can fix some stuff, and it's not that rickety. But we've got a lot of places where we can make a difference. So just because there's silence doesn't mean there's inactivity. There's a huge push. This is all about the election. Right now, the deep state is pushing very hard to get this vote by mail, and that is the front that's being fought. There's a lot of evidence that's coming out. There's been a number of studies. Things are coming out. The information is trickling. People are getting there. Stay tuned. More's coming. I can promise you this. If you guys like the work I'm doing, please subscribe if you haven't already. Please hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when I do videos, typically daily. And if you guys have a moment, there's a PayPal link below. I appreciate any donations at all. And there have been some amazing people that have been just incredibly kind and very generous. So I thank you all. I love you guys. You're the best. Where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle.